Welcome to the Greenlight Pod, episode 27. They told me to show more energy in these opens.
You're yelling.
I'm yelling into the microphone. I'm not cussing, though, because that's not good in the open, they say. We're going to talk about a lot today, including a medical update on my co-host part. Macon Gunner got his MRI results, thoughts and prayers. Also, we're going to have the loser, the fabled loser of the Charlottesville Gentlemen's Fantasy Football League in the studio. That's Matt Conrath, former NFL player, current donor of the dyed tips, the Guy Fieri's. Also might have a special guest, a cameo from Bad Back Backy, who slipped a disc, putting together a back machine famously in Charlottesville lore. We're going to have him and Matt in studio. Also, Kurt Menefee doing a lot of XFL stuff this year. Going to have him on the line. And Ryan Russillo, a special guest, one of Macon's favorite people, is going to call in and explain what the hell's going on in the NBA because we haven't watched a bit of it. Also a mailbag, so stay tuned. So here we are, episode 27.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
The lights are a little brighter.
Yeah.
Rug smells a bit worse.
Rug smells worse, really?
Yeah.
No shit.
You shaved all the hair off the side of your head.
Yeah, I got a little high and tight going. I also shaved a little bit of my beard, but I left a little bit of this mustache here.
Dang.
What do you think about leaving the beard trail the mustache?
I like that look.
You like that look?
Yep. I hope to one day be able to do something like that.
That'd be cool.
With my face.
Well, there's still time. I mean, you're only 33.
Ooh, docs. Before long, people are going to be able to figure out everything about me.
Yeah, Wiki is a powerful force. We do a lot of our research on Wikipedia.
Yeah. For the fellow who emailed me medical advice, I appreciate you. We'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of a misdiagnosis.
I should introduce myself and my co-host because it has been a while now since we've been in the studio. I had to go down to Miami last week to do a bunch of stuff at the Super Bowl. I'm Chris Long. This is the Greenlight Pod, and this is my esteemed co-host, real estate extraordinaire, and just all-star wingman, Macon Gunner. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
No problem. It's episode 27, so without further ado, let's get into our our newly adopted tradition of listing our favorite or most notable. It is 27, yeah.
It is 27. It's the
yeah,
fifth time
our
we've done
jerseys or athletes who wore the jersey number corresponding with the show's
episode. Well said. Efficiently said by you.
I'm trying.
You or me?
I think you should start.
Okay, well, I want to shout out a couple Giants running backs. Brandon Jacobs, Ron Dane, Rodney Hampton. Non-Giant, Steve Atwater, shout out. Gary Garrison.
Yeah.
Now lock in with me here.
I am. I'm also just looking at some people I need to shout out because I didn't know we were going to be able to shout out 50 people.
You're Mr. and Mrs. Garrison, okay?
Yeah.
It's January of 1944, and you've been aware of your surname for a while. It's Garrison.
Yeah.
You have a son. And you go, Gary. I love the move.
What do you Gary Garrison is unbelievable.
It's great.
I mean, what goes into that conversation?
Right.
Something goes into that conversation.
There was a John Johnson who played basketball for Virginia back in the day.
Yeah.
But I just love the move. I don't know, Long.
No.
Lonnie Long.
No, there's nothing you could do with Long to make it. Well, there are some things you could do with Long.
Baseballers, Vlad Guerrero, Carlton Fisk, Juan Marichal.
Yeah. Thanks for shouting out everybody with number 27.
Okay, I have one more to shout out.
Golly.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the football player, was born Sharman Shah, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He played college football at UCLA, drafted by the Dolphins in 96, wore number 27 with the Browns. He was given the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's K-A-R-I-M, by his imam in 1995.
Nice.
Okay. There was another Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who played at UCLA.
Yeah.
They both wore 33
I've heard
at UCLA.
of the other one.
Well, listen. The controversy between people having similar names eventually led to the basketball player suing the football player in 97. The lawsuit led to the football player changing his legal name from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Abdul Kareem Al-Jabbar.
Just mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Isn't
I
that
respect
amazing, though?
I respect that.
It's like, okay, bro.
So the Kareem sued.
Karim. And the guy was like, okay, bro, I'll now be Abdul Kareem Al-Jabbar.
How many Kareem Abdul-Jabbars are there in the world? Why is he freaking out?
I know. We need to look more into that particular lawsuit. But my 27, as seen on YouTube, can you guys keep it down a little bit?
Yeah, the Chicago folks who are going to be joining the pod in a few minutes are hammering beers.
I've selected Eddie George, and this is on the right. You'll see on YouTube, gorgeous Houston Oilers jersey,
beautiful.
And although I'm not a big Buckeye guy, it's a pretty clean jersey on the left too. Those shoulder pads, I don't think you could stack Michael Bennett's shoulder pads. Like 25 games worth Eddie George has under his jersey right there.
You're absolutely right.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Huge
all-around
numbers.
Cool dude. Huge numbers on those. I mean, those shoulder numbers are what you'll see now on a front or a back.
I call those repugnant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Too big?
Yeah, they're a little bit too big.
Born September 24th, 1973.
And we're talking about Eddie George here. For the listeners, because I need to tie this back in, you shouted out about 14 number 27s to be fair.
Yep.
Born
in Philly.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Really?
Fork Union Military Academy.
Yeah, Fuma. Shout out to Fuma. So I did see Eddie at the Super Bowl.
They're nice.
Yeah. Really nice guy.
Tennis program at Fuma, not so good.
Really?
Yeah. At least not
because you used to take it to him, take him behind the woodshed.
I would, but there later in my career, it's kind of like, hey, why don't you sit this one out, get some rest?
Oh, they became like a rest.
Little load management.
They used to load manage
when you would go to Fluvanna County.
Maybe they should have done that a little bit more because, well, we'll get to the MRI results in a bit here.
Eddie George.
You want to guess my 27? I'll give you 3 guesses. There may be an Eddie George color scheme that corresponds with mine from a jersey standpoint. A bit.
Okay. I'm not going to be able to guess it. I thought you would go Malcolm Jenkins.
Well, I didn't want to be boring. Obviously, shout out to Malcolm Jenkins, who was, again, finalist for Man of the Year. Didn't win. Calais won, but Malcolm does a lot of great work, and obviously a good buddy of mine. That's well documented. So shout out to Malcolm. That would have been the easy pick.
Scott Niedermeyer.
Didn't do Niedermeyer. Ended up doing, drumroll, Vladimir Guerrero Sr. Is he senior? I guess he's senior now because you have to worry about.
Yeah, Vlad Glad. Mentioned by me a few moments ago.
Yeah.
For those of you who were listening.
So well, you only shouted out 56 people, but I thought the Expo's get-ups were pretty iconic. And he was iconic. I mean, obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, MVP. But what I loved about him is he wore no batting gloves.
Yeah.
That's what drew me. And his swing. I loved his swing. But the fact that he just went up there and pine-tarred it, blisters out the wazoo. There used to be nothing worse than baseball when you go play a tournament and you do like doubleheader after doubleheader in the summer and your blisters would break on your hands. That was terrible. Do you remember that when you played sports?
No, I didn't play baseball because I was afraid of the ball.
Yeah.
And tennis, we have nice rubbery grips.
Yeah. So tennis is just all around. I don't want to call it a softer sport, but than baseball?
Nah.
One takes more athleticism, and that is tennis. One takes more endurance. That's tennis.
Hey, hold on to your hat. Tomorrow, Sunday the 9th, Vlad Glad's birthday.
Really?
He will turn 45.
Happy birthday, Vlad Glad. Also, he got the, I was reading about him. I'm not even going to act like I'm retaining this information. I'm going to read it off my phone. Guerrero batted without wearing batting gloves, a custom rarely seen in modern baseball. In an interview with Yahoo Sports, he attributed this to helping his grandfather pull cows home barehanded as a young boy in the Dominican Republic. He swung at a higher percentage of pitches outside the strike zone, 45%, than any other hitter in Major League Baseball up to that time.
Yeah, he'd go down and get it.
He hit a ball that bounced for a double.
Yeah.
He also had like one of the most iconic throws in Major League Baseball history that traveled like 300 feet just on a rope. So like anything Vlad did in a baseball, in the diamond, I was going to say the arena, baseball watchers, we got to get the vernacular right,
Well,
was a spectacle.
what do we call that up in Toronto?
An
Rogers
arena.
Center these
Yeah,
days?
it's pretty fucking
Yeah.
ugly. He once hit a double off a one-hop fastball, yep, by Carl Pavano. And then this is my favorite part of his bio. Vladimir is a PlayStation addict. His favorite thing to do is control himself as a batter. Go figure.
Yeah, that's a great pick by you.
Yeah.
I think those are two good selections.
Two really good selections, and shout out to the other 46 that you included.
Well, hey, number 27 isn't what I would deem sexy
Yeah, no.
necessarily.
No.
So we're having to dig deep. We come across a lot of names.
Although there's a few. It's better than some of the other numbers we've had to deal with. The
25, strangely.
25 was really strange. So we are episode
Unpopular.
27, and kind of a watermark episode for Macon. He's had for those of you who, and I want to be serious for a minute, for those of you who have been listening to the pod since its inception, Macon has been battling through a serious medical ailment, and we finally got some news, and it's going to be a long road, a diagnosis, if you will.
The self-diagnosis of a torn bicep, or if you want to be technical, torn biceps,
Yeah.
was not accurate.
We need Maury to read this fucking diagnosis.
You are not the father.
It is not a torn biceps, but might be worse than that.
MRI revealed a torn labrum, which
I've never seen anybody battle back from one of those.
I think it feels cooler to say torn labrum.
Yeah.
In practice, though, it's going to stink. There's some surgery involved.
You really have to get cut?
Some
Some people just let that heal.
Yeah, it's not going to. I've tried to let this heal since August.
Yeah, well, that's a long time.
And then
you've potted through all this. You've sold real estate.
That's right.
What's the most challenging part of selling real estate with a torn labrum?
I would say opening the doors, the handles,
Yeah.
mostly.
It's got to be tough. It's harrowing. Have you ever had a surgery before?
I'm not gonna.
HIPAA. Yeah,
I
you're right.
can't.
You're right.
I would
Yeah.
never. They might have to reattach the biceps lower than where it's currently attached as well.
How do you see this interfering with your day-to-day going forward?
Well, I'm immobile for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
and
And this is the right hand.
correct.
I'm sorry, the right,
My dominant hand.
yeah.
So I probably have to invest in electric toothbrush, that sort of thing.
Whole bunch of things are going to be different for you, you know?
Yeah. Here's what you get when you tell people you have a torn labrum. How'd you do it? My answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then what is that exactly? To which I say, I don't know. So the labrum is a piece of fibrocartilage, which is rubbery tissue, as you well know,
Yeah.
attached to the rim of the shoulder socket that helps keep the ball of the joint in place. When this cartilage is torn, it is called a labral tear. Labral tears may result from injury or sometimes as part of the aging process. So I had
Could
no
be.
injury.
I think it's the latter.
And I had.
You're just getting old.
Thank you, going. Hey, okay.
And I did dox you.
How'd I do it? Kind of been carrying a podcast for about 27
That's
episodes.
so
or
good.
so.
That's so good. Well, we at the Greenlight Pod, and for anybody who listens to any of our content on Chalk Networks, I think I speak for everyone when I say get well soon.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And after surgery, is there going to be a downtime? Can we get you in here hopped up on opioids?
I don't know what I will be given.
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I tell you what it's going to be like
Yeah,
since you've never had surgery?
sure.
Cotton mouth. You're going to not feel great.
Okay, I love water. That's no problem.
You're going to be immobile again. You know, if you're in a sling, that's really going to be tough. Driving.
I will be in a sling.
Yeah, driving's going to be tough. 10 and 2 is not.
Yeah, I'm a
an
10 and
option
2 guy.
anymore. Opening doors like there's a whole host of things you do when you open car doors. You usually have something in the other hand. No more. What about if you put things in your right pocket? That's going to really suck.
How many surgeries have you had?
A lot. Just joking. It's
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. You just realized it. The joke.
I mean, that's so bad that we're probably going to have to talk about that after we're done recording this. About whether or not
The
that's
joke's
kept
on
in.
me. The joke's on me. So anyways, you were talking about your surgery.
Yeah. I got asked for my autograph
Yeah?
in the context of the podcast.
Somebody asked you for an autograph.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty great. Or how are you adjusting? It's a lot at the same time. You have to deal with, becoming famous and becoming, being rendered immobile for 4 to 6 weeks, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot for anybody, let alone somebody like you.
This was the first time I've ever been asked for my autograph.
Yeah.
It was your mom
Oh, God.
who asked me, and that's not like a yo mama joke. It was literally your mother.
It was D'Lo.
Yeah.
D'Lo asked you for an autograph.
Yeah.
She said she saw you the other day. So
Right. And when you bring up something like what you just brought up, which hopefully has been cut out of this show.
We're gonna bleep. We're gonna just go "Brr," like the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes me think of some of the listeners like your mother who don't need
Yeah.
to hear things like that.
Well, 3 boys in the house.
And I said, no. Chris is the star of the show.
Yeah, doing that whole thing.
And then she was like, yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
is.
she
He
doesn't.
is.
Yeah,
No.
but I don't think she cares for my content. I think she probably tunes in to see you. So, shout out to D'Lo and best wishes and get well to
Thanks.
you, sir. Also, putting on the various articles of clothing, like the layering that you do, is going to be really
thought
tough.
about that, actually.
Think about all the button downs. I wear shirts with buttons 6 days out of the year.
Yeah. I go 6 days out of the week.
You go at least 6 days out of the week, maybe 7.
I hadn't thought about that. That is
Sweaters over the button downs.
real. I was told to bring a zip on
Putting shoes
surgery
on.
day.
Putting shoes on. All your shoes have laces. 50% of my shoes don't have laces. You might want to get some straps.
Mm.
Waylon has some shoes. They got straps on them if you want. On to the next thing.
Yeah. I've got some Ben and Jerry's content.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whole Foods Market is a grocery store.
Yeah, it is.
They had a 2 for $7 Ben and Jerry's pints,
Yeah.
normally $4.99. Can't pass up something like that.
No, you can't.
But they didn't have great flavors. So I went.
What did they have, first off?
Let me pivot. Can I tell you my favorite Ben and Jerry's flavors?
Yeah.
Chunky Monkey. That would be the banana ice cream with fudge chunks and
We
walnuts.
got a thumbs up from behind. Kathleen likes the chunky monkey.
Boom. As well as New York Super Fudge Chunk.
You just like the word chunk.
That would be chocolate ice cream with white and dark fudge chunks. Pecans. How do you say pecans?
I mean, I guess pecan.
Walnuts and fudge covered almonds. Now, what I purchased was very odd. Vanilla, 1, and chocolate fudge brownie, 2.
Yeah.
Very limited selections.
While we're stuck on this, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Pecan pie, but it's pecans if they're just alone.
I would say pecan pie.
Ooh,
Pecan? No, I would say pecan pie.
I say pecan pie.
Pecan pie. Pecan
But
pie.
if you were like, hey, that tree, what's growing in that tree? I'd say pecans.
Pecans.
Pecans?
Damn.
Macan?
I do
A
get
lot
called
of people
Macan.
think your name is Macan.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Now, my question to you,
Yeah.
aside from what your favorite flavor is, how many sittings is a pint?
Okay, so I've gone over this with some folks before. I think shamelessly it can be 1. Now that's a lot of calcium. My bones are gonna get really strong.
Spin zone.
I have to contend with the fact that I can't break my bones anymore if I eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
I tried to make it to 4 sittings. I only made it to 3.
So wait, you ate it in 3 sittings.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's in 3 sittings or more, your restraint is unbelievable.
Thank you.
I will polish off. Do you want me to tell you what my favorite
yeah.
flavor is? It's Cherry Garcia by a mile.
I have an unconfirmed report, but a report nonetheless that my dad's favorite flavor is Cherry Garcia.
Well, that makes sense. He's a distinguished gentleman like
He is.
myself. I guess behind that, it might be Americone Dream, the waffle cones. Shout out to Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, that was in there. I wasn't familiar enough to.
Yeah, try it out.
Take the plunge.
What the Long family will do, and I haven't tried the sorbets, by the way. I might dive into that at some point. What the Long family will do is we will have, like in the summer, a nice gathering. We got this table out in Montana that kind of spins around. I forget what you call those tables.
Spin table.
Lazy Susan?
Mm.
Susan, she's not doing shit. She's just spinning. She's just spinning. Susan is out, by the way.
Get a job, Susan.
As a fucking name. Susan is out. If there are babies being named Susan in 2020, I want to find those kids. I want to tell them that their name is out. They might want to change their name.
I like Susan fine.
Really?
Yeah.
You know any Susans?
I do know Susans.
I knew some Susans.
Oh.
Not anymore. No, not like that.
Goodness.
Shout out to, there was a lady named Susan, used to be friends with my my parents, but then we moved from California.
Okay.
So I don't know where she is now. But that's the only Susan I know. So the table, this Lazy Susan, you know, it turns around and turns around. What you do is you put all the flavors. You go to the grocery store, get 12 flavors, 12 pints of Ben & Jerry's.
Mm.
A cornucopia, if you will. And then it just spins and spins. And everybody at the table just samples. There's 1 spoon per pint thing, and you try not to get the spoon in your bowl because you don't want to be swapping
Obviously.
germs. I don't like germs.
No. If you're alone, though, you would never scoop it out of the pint into a bowl, right? That's
no,
like
if I'm alone, I eat it right out of the... It's like the domestic version. When I was 23, and this came up recently because we were in Miami and there's bottle service situations and stuff, my pound my chest moment would be when we went to a club, I would get my own bottle of champagne, drink it right out of the bottle.
Mm.
No glasses. That's a status symbol thing. Now in my 30s, at 34, my status symbol is I get a fucking pint of Cherry Garcia, and it's just mine. I eat it right out of the pint. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if you eat it in one sitting, now adjusted for weight, maybe it's not okay that you eat it in one sitting.
Yeah, but I saw pictures of you from Miami, and you are wasting away.
To 254, by the way.
Our weights are getting closer by the day.
Yeah, I'm 254 pounds.
And I'm what's it called when you're gaining?
Yeah, you're bulking.
I'm like lean.
I got bad news for you.
gain.
That bulking is going to stop here real soon when they cut into your labrum.
But I'll just do a bunch of legs.
Oh, Ryan Russillo is calling the pod. Let's
Oh.
get him on real quick. Your favorite guy. Hey, Ryan Russillo.
Hey,
Welcome to the
What's up,
welcome to
man?
the Green Light Pod, buddy.
thank you for having me on.
Hi Ryan, you're on with Macon and Chris.
Okay.
Now,
That
we're
sounds great.
going to keep it
Live?
brief because you work really hard. You do a bunch of pods. As the NFL season ended, I realized that we hadn't watched, and we're not going to be posers and try to start picking up basketball like we've been watching. We haven't watched a single minute. I don't know if I'm speaking for you, Mike.
I probably stayed more with it, but I don't know if I've sat down and watched hoop.
I haven't watched a game in its entirety, the entire NBA season. And who knows the NBA better than Ryan Russillo?
Plenty of
Woj.
folks.
Woj.
Yeah,
I was about to say
Woj.
Woj, but
Yeah.
other than that. So we're going to give Ryan, what do you
Plenty
say?
of folks seem to like this. But
Dudes are saying.
dudes have argued. I used to love when, just to jump in and ruin your segment.
No, don't ruin the segment. The more,
Anyone-
the longer
No.
you spend here, the better.
No, Greeny is like the biggest hype man of any host you'll ever see, and he's great at it. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But he used to always get really frustrated with me because he'd be like, And, joining us here at the desk at Get Up, nobody knows the NBA better than him. Ryan Russillo, I'd be like, whoa, he's back low, probably has more contact.
Bro.
And he would just look at me and be like, God, damn it. Just shut up.
Bro,
So, anyway,
you know what I love? And now that I've realized when I intro people, I do go back to the same, and somebody's going to make some highlight reel. Luckily, we don't have enough viewers yet or listeners yet that somebody's going to actually take the time to do this. But if I were more successful at this, in this admission, every guest I intro, I kind of give the same adjectives. I'm like, my favorite coach, my favorite, this is one of the rising stars. I need to work on new material. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, Scott and I used to have a lot of disagreements about our interviewing process when we did the show together. And
we do
I don't
too.
know if you know that movie, The Long Goodbye. I've never seen it, but it's a great title because he would, I used to get so annoyed whenever he'd intro anybody and be like, how's the golf game? Because, anytime anybody would do that, they're like, oh, hit him straight. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, pretty windy outside.
Right, exactly. How's it going over there? And then it became a joke where I started asking guys in the middle of interviews how their golf game was. And so
Such an asshole move.
Right, it is. Honestly, that he didn't slap me at some point, that I deserved it. But goodbyes, hellos. I say guys are the best all the time. So look, I'm still, we all have our crutches, man.
Yeah, I've got a few of them. One of them is the Devil's Lettuce, if you haven't heard.
Yeah, guys, there was a pod that you came on, you were really fired up. I think it was our one where we were both super worked up on Sunday, and then going into Monday, we were just letting dudes have it left and right.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and a guy
Canal, Jacina. And then I saw Danny, real quick, Macon, you'll love this. I saw Danny Canal, Radio Row, my last interview for my partnership. I was on Radio Row presenting. We walk around the corner, it's Danny Canal sitting there at the desk, and he just looks up, and I look at him, and it's like, fuck. Not that I care, but I just... No, I mean,
talk it out?
We talked it out. It was kind of something along the lines of, he joked hey man, are we going to fight now? And I was like, no, not at all. I was like, you just said a stupid thing. He's like, well, it wasn't that stupid. And they were like, okay, 3, 2, 1. And joining us, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be awkward. But Danny said a really fucking stupid thing. I still think so, but that doesn't mean I hate Danny.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Danny's going to live longer than all of us because he will not. He's so not confrontational. I'll go a couple days where if I don't have a confrontation, I kind of want one.
Yeah.
And he is like, okay, cool.
Well, you got one. You might have one here with Macon, because Macon's had a few bones to pick. You got this co-host rivalry.
Hey, Ryan, I have a torn labrum. Any advice to get through this while still... What am I doing? I'm gaining mass. I'm in the process of gaining mass.
Bulking.
But I'm going to be immobilized for about 6 weeks. Do you just go straight legs? Do you focus on the other side?
I heard some guys, I don't know what your bench numbers were before, but I've had a few buddies that have gone through it. They've never been the same. So you might want to try to get on some sort of program.
Oh, man, at least you got some cushion. 350 is a good number, so you got some cushion there. You could
supplement.
Yeah.
135's in my rear view, I guess.
So the reason we had Ryan on is we want to know what the hell's going on in the NBA. We haven't watched a single game.
Yeah.
And I texted him earlier, I go, do you think you could do a 3-minute rundown timed, as if you were explaining the NBA to aliens that just landed on our planet and there was no language barrier? Do you think you could do that?
No problem. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to do the... Making you'll do the time?
Yep, I got
with sound effects.
That's right.
Okay.
You want to give me lap times, so at 1 minute?
We'll tell you at every minute.
At 2 minutes, 1 minute remaining, and a countdown from 10, maybe.
Yep,
that's right.
This is the most fast and furious 3 minutes in the NBA.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, ready? Macon,
yep.
you got a sound effect you want to use?
Dude.
Milwaukee Bucks, Milwaukee located in the north central part of the country, best record in the league, a point differential that's historic, maybe the best of all time. They're the best team, they have the best player, but they haven't won a title in 50 years, so there's still always some apprehension. Speaking of titles, Toronto won it last year. They lost maybe the second best player in the league in Kawhi player in the league. But you know what? They've got a great set of guards. They've got great depth. They've got a great coach. They've got a great front office. So surprising 2 seed so far. Celtics' top 4 players are terrific. That's really good if you match them up against everybody else, but they don't have they're only big, really tweets all the time. I don't like his content. Heat, multi-dimensional, all sorts of things they can throw at you. You probably don't like their number 2 guy that much unless it's Dan, who has become an unbelievable center overnight. The Pacers, tough team. I'll leave it at their best player back in Oladipo. Philadelphia is the most disappointing team in the league, a 6 seed. 13 and a half games will have 1 seed. Their 2 best players can't play together. I can imagine this is going to get difficult. They're better without Orlando. They're actually in the playoffs. Sorry. Massive disappointment. Their best player sucks. Detroit just traded a player for cap space. The Wizards have the best offense in the league. That's not a mistake, except they're 17 and 30. Charlotte, I thought, had the worst roster, so at 35, I'm actually impressed. The Knicks are boring. It has a really big time scoring player who I don't necessarily love all the time. And in Cleveland, I have no idea what they're doing. The Los Angeles City in California, that's the farthest west for pretty much of the country. They have 2 teams, and one team is like Leo DiCaprio in Gatsby, and the other team is a little bit like Leo and Gilbert Grape. But they're both really good. Denver has the hottest fans. I'm kidding. They're actually unattractive collectively. They're a 3 seed, but they get really, really heated, and this is all kind of new for me right now because I'm still a little bitter because I love the city, but they've never done anything in a decade. They got to the second round last year almost after beating a bad Spurs team in the first round, but they think they're pretty sweet. Houston's as unwatchable as anything. If you were to land in Houston in your spaceship, just turn around, go back to the moon. Utah, I do like, but they lost 5 in a row once the schedule got tougher. Oklahoma City is, I think, one of the coolest stories in the NBA this year because all of their fans stuck up for Westbrook, really brainwashed almost while he was destroying what they were because he stayed and Durant didn't. Durant's this other guy's not playing this year. Don't worry about it. And they actually have a much better point guard in Chris Paul because their guys all want to leave this year, and you could argue they're a better basketball team. Dallas just wins all the time. They have this guy that's impossible to compare to black players, but he actually plays like black players, even though he's white. Memphis is actually 26 and 25. They have this really good guard who's a rookie. He's young. He tweets too, and it looks like he's going to die in every dunk attempt, but it's actually because he doesn't ever die, so it's not that dangerous. Portland's a bit of a disappointment in the Western Conference Finals last year, but they're turning things around. San Antonio, a 20-year run. This was long overdue to be under 500, but they're boring as hell. New Orleans has the most exciting player in Zion. Sacramento, Minnesota, Golden State. You don't need to know anything about them, except Golden State will be good again next year when they get all their players. They were pretty good the last 5 years.
That was really well done.
That was amazing, Ryan. Did you breathe?
I don't know. I'm a classically trained bass too, so I don't know if you knew that.
Hey, classically. Well, that makes a difference.
Ryan, I know
classically trained.
Houston unwatchable is the common take. Isn't it sort of intriguing, at least here at the beginning, when they play all guys our height?
You know what? I thought last night was hilarious, right? Because you're watching it, you're going, are you guys serious? Now, I actually think at some point Daryl's going to add someone. I thought that second move, when there were rumors that second move was already in place for that to happen, to add at least a serviceable big for 20 minutes or in some kind of playoff matchup where you just kind of need some fouls. So I think the Lakers are so thrown off by it. They actually played terrible.
Right.
Because I was like, this is sort of weird. It's so weird. I mean, their tallest guy, like Eric Gordon, would end up with switches on Anthony Davis. And if you were telling me the brilliance of this lineup is now that everybody freaks out, doesn't want to take threes, and they keep trying to beat you in the paint, but if you double the right times, you're not just going to score because you have this advantage in the post. I think Barkley's point was awesome. He goes, fine, Houston won. I'm surprised. He was like, I didn't expect it. He goes, but the idea that your team is going to hold up over the course of the next however many weeks, you know, all of February, March, and April, and then into the playoffs without anybody over 6'6", he's like, that's insane. He's like, physically, you're going to absolutely wear out. So
after those 3 minutes, really after those 3 minutes, I can't disagree with my wealth of NBA knowledge.
Yeah, right. You're on it now.
Real quick before we let you go, because we do have a Philly, a little bit of a Philly connection here. What the fuck is wrong with the Sixers, and how do you fix them?
You're eventually going to have to break those two guys up. Simmons and Embiid are the worst pairing of really talented players I've seen in a long time. And I'm not really even anti-Ben anymore. You know, Ben, I think it's proven. And I think what that showed, and they've been trying to separate those guys more as far as their minutes. because I've gone back and like looked at like their minute pairings, and Brett Brown has broken them up more. But he can't. Brett Brown can't figure out how to get these guys going, and I actually am shocked he came back. And you can say they're a bounce away from maybe beating the Raptors, and then who knows what's going to happen. But their offensive efficiency with those two has been in decline now for 3 straight years, and it's a center who plays a little perimeter based, and it's a point guard that wants nothing to do with the perimeter.
Right. That makes sense.
It's not even a knock on those two guys. I don't know how much longer, how many more numbers. We could do this for another year, it'll be 4 years of these numbers and what our eyes tell us. But those two guys should not be playing next to each other. You shouldn't. And it's not really even a knock on either guy now.
Quick note for your future pods: best Pacers, not Vic Oladipo,
Yeah, I
but
was waiting for
Malcolm
that.
Humble Moses Brogdon.
He's been better this year, but
Been better this year.
I'm thinking of Oladipo.
Been better this year.
It
They're
came back.
31-20 because of Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think peak Oladipo last year was better than what we've seen from Brogdon.
Well, I would agree
Yeah.
with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well,
I think what Oladipo was the first few months of last year was insane. So, I'm hoping to see them get back to that. But Brogdon's a great man.
well, that was the NBA with our good friend Ryan Russillo. Do you feel infringed upon, Macon, that he joined the pod for?
No, I really like Ryan.
Yeah, it's always great having Rye on.
Yeah.
Rye, short goodbye. Thank you, bro.
Out.
Peace. Yes, that was Ryan Russillo. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we get to these Chicago lowlifes?
Really bummer of a credit card roulette, but let's talk about it when they're in here.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's bring on the infamous Died Tips loser from our fantasy football league, Matt Conrath, and Bad Back Backy, who also he's in the bathroom. He's Bad Back Backy. So we'll take a bathroom break.
He's in the bathroom.
And we'll get these two guys out here in a minute. And welcoming to the pod, two friends of the program, two friends in real life here, members of the Men's Lunch Alliance
Yeah, y'all are welcome.
for the lunch today.
Yeah, popped for it over
Thank you,
here.
Macon.
That was credit card roulette for those of y'all out there who don't play it. You put cards in the hat, and whoever gets picked last, that's who's got to pay. And Macon picked it up today, $88.
Yeah, right before Bad Back Backy was about to pay for the meal.
That's Bad Back Backy right here to my right. And that is,
Happy to be here.
I mean, if you were wondering who the NFL player was, that is the former NFL player, Matt Conrad, the guy with the dyed tips. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? You guys have long lists of accolades athletically and in the world. I want to leave it to you guys. You want to start with Bad Back Backy?
Kevin Backey from Evergreen Park, Illinois. EPA Boys Club All-Star.
All-star.
Yeah. 1992.
Is that the South Side?
Yeah, that would be the South Side, Chris.
That's considered the South
Yeah.
Side.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could trust Matt. I mean, St. Rita's, I don't know, the North Side School.
The Russian Catholics, right?
Russian Catholic.
That is true. Hey, very much a rival, but you know what? At the end of the day, we all went to a good Catholic school. And
Good Catholic guys here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Just the guys.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm a former teammate of yours.
Yes.
Goes back, I was a first year
Yeah.
when you were a fourth year here, and then played 3 years with you.
And I took him on his visit. I
Yes.
took Matt on the visit. What do you
one
remember?
of the
Was
first
the visit
people at
good?
the Fred, when you were staying there. Yeah, that was that's one of the reasons why I ended up coming.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a great host.
Did not know that.
I'm a great host. And little did you know that, years later you would be wearing Guy Fieri tips because of
Because of your influence.
My
actually.
influence. Yeah. So the fantasy football league, and obviously Matt, we're downplaying Matt's football success. Played.
Do you guys get the tips? Can
What'd you
see
play?
it?
Almost 5 in the league? 5?
4.
5. Yeah, about 5 years in the league. St.
Sacked-
Louis Rams.
sacked Drew Brees.
Sacked Drew Brees.
We were both
For
there.
that shout
Yep.
out.
Yep, we were both there, and Kev, he does a lot, valiantly, athletically. We've covered it on the pod lately. I mean, he was a great athlete in his own right in his earlier years, and now he slipped a disc recently. So we've got the walking wounded here with Make and Kev. How's your back?
It's better.
The listeners are concerned.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out on that. It's better.
Rehab.
I still a rehab, doing a lot of rehab.
What kind of rehab?
mini cobras?
Yeah, you don't want
lot of mini cobras.
You don't want to do the big. You don't want to do the big cobras.
They told me to do that 10 times a day, mini cobras, which is tough to do.
What are you at this juncture in
Right now?
today? Yeah,
2.
you got 8 cobras to go.
Got 8
We are-
cobras to go.
and they're mini cobras, so it's not a big deal. What does a mini cobra
A
look
mini
like?
cobra, you can do it on the floor or against the wall, and it's basically this.
It's a little bit of a thrust. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do that in public.
Correct.
You want to do all your mini cobras in private.
Chris, that is correct.
Or on YouTube.com.
Or on YouTube.
Are we on YouTube?
Yeah.
Can't really. So the background here is our fantasy football league. We were all members of this league. It started out so promising. I mean, we Boylan Heights. Kev shut it down for us, and we did a beautiful draft up in the second floor of Boylan Heights, and everybody's team was so promising, including Matt's team, and the loser of the league, the last place guy, who surely was not going to be an NFL player, not going to be me or Matt, couldn't be, would have to get dyed tips. That was the penalty this year, and as you can see, Matt's got these luscious. What is it? What? How would you classify the color at this point? Because you've had them a couple
I
weeks.
mean, it has ambered out a little bit, but
311.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good call.
You know?
I'm with you.
I was a teenager once.
yeah.
Sarah at Adara Salon.
Shout out.
She did a great job. And 2.5 hours. I think we have the pictures.
Yeah,
so-
we'll put the pictures back up and post of when they were
I
fresh.
went through with the tinfoil, everything. So 2.5 hours.
Describe your build for those people listening, so
My
they can
build.
Yeah, put a build and a face with the visualization of dyed tips.
Yeah, 6'7", 245.
Used to be how much? How much did you used to weigh when you played?
305 was the heaviest I ever tipped the scales with rock.
Tipped the scales.
Tipped it.
Yeah.
Nice play on words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how's the experience been after walking around with these tips for a couple weeks?
Not gonna lie, I've gotten some compliments.
I think they look fantastic.
People that didn't know that this was a joke. So, yeah, I mean, there have been some looks, but I'm pretty comfortable by now.
I was
It's
worried
2
about
weeks.
you in the OR because you do work in the medical field.
Yes, I
being
do.
a
But so we
brilliant
wear
guy.
what we call a bouffant
Yeah. Okay.
or a hat.
Yeah, yeah.
cap, so
Yeah.
there's a whole sterility factor.
I don't know, Lloyd. The French are assholes.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
So basically, you're in the
So
OR,
yeah.
but you have a hat on,
Yes.
so you don't. But
Mo-
your
mostly-
first day, what's it like when you show up? Did anybody bring it up when you walked
I
in with
actually
the
got to
tips?
talk with the doctor, and he thought it was hilarious. So it was great. I think you talked about it being a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
And I was able to play it off.
Do you have a significant other?
I do. Katie was not a fan.
Ha.
That's weird because I think you look great,
Well, it was more so the fact that I paid into this and then
and then had to pay again to
Yes,
get the
to
dyed
get the
tips.
dyed
How much do a
tips.
pair of dyed, or not a pair of dyed tips? How much do dyed tips cost?
and Sarah at Adara Salon hooked it up.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
maybe
so
we're
she-
getting some kickbacks here.
Well, I mean, I'm a loyal customer, so
We can all go in for.
Well, I'm not comfortable with
I mean,
that because
well, you-
then we say we're going to pay. The league should pay for that.
Yeah, we should pay for the tips. And
Yeah,
we'll put
that's
a
not
collection
right.
together.
That's
I
not
think.
right.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor floating around that you guys had highlights in
Yeah, in high school, we dyed our
Yeah.
hair. We dyed our hair like
might
Slim
have to-
Shady.
Like
Really?
together.
Yeah.
All of
So
it.
even
Me,
more than
him,
this.
Matt Kingston. Shout
there
out to Matt
pictures of that?
Kingston.
There are.
They're out there floating somewhere,
They-
but you can't really tell. It
Look
wasn't like
weirdly normal.
they look pretty normal.
Yeah.
You know, this was circa 2000. Now, I mean, 2000, anything went.
Backstreet was back.
This is not
All right.
2020, bro. And so let's not try to equate your tips.
I did,
with some high schoolers fucking around with hair dye.
I did take my daughter today to the mall.
Yeah.
And I stepped in American Eagle. There were no puka shell necklaces.
That
Like I don't know if that's not
would have gone great with
I
the
know.
tips.
I meant to.
Spring,
I really
spring
wanted
break,
to pull that out right
2002.
now on the
Yeah,
pod,
I get it.
And couldn't find it at the mall.
For the
So I
people,
don't
for the
know.
people out there suffering through consensual dyed tips, who dyed their tips not losing a bet, thought it might be a good decision. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to put that out there. I think I've gotten compliments.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
more power to you.
Yeah.
And it should be
Go for it.
mentioned, if Matt starts
Oh.
DK Metcalf instead of Stephon Diggs,
Yeah.
in whichever week it was, maybe 14, it's bad back bag keep with the tips.
Wow.
And
Instead
they,
of Matt.
wow.
Yeah.
You can't go back to the south side with those tips.
Are you kidding me? No way.
What happens if you go back to the south side with those tips?
You getting
Can
your
we
ass
get into
kicked,
why?
right?
So it's probably a good thing that this big ass dude.
Well,
Can we
here's the thing. I mean, he's a little bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And he's
he can
lefty.
hold-
You don't
hold
even
his
see
own
it
a little
coming.
bit. You don't see
Me, you know what I mean? I got a couple guys coming at me.
Hey, Matt, can you walk us through Antonio Brown in round 2?
Yeah, so that kind of derailed.
Right.
I thought that was
I thought it was a
going
great
to be
pick.
the
I
move.
thought it was a great
Well,
pick.
actually, can we go back to my first round pick?
James Conner, yeah.
I've never played fantasy football before, so I see everyone drafting running
No
backs.
kidding.
And so I think, running back, he's receiver.
Yeah, he likes to catch the ball out of the
Yeah, he
backfield.
didn't do much this year though.
It's a PPR league, is what they said.
So your prep
Didn't know what
was
that
well, hey,
was.
your
Kev,
prep was watching picks 1 through 7, is what you're saying before you started.
Pretty much.
drafting your team.
I saw people arrive with papers.
That's
and
right.
Research, laptops.
that's right.
Had none of that.
That made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. So
very.
So clearly,
I'm out of
why
What?
we
How
were-
did you prep, Kev?
Prep? No.
And Kev goes Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, 1-2.
Nice.
That paid off.
Yeah, it paid off well. Kept you out of the tips race.
Who I don't even know what you just said.
Michael Thomas, you got the
He's just
offensive
staring at the
player of
camera.
the year.
So,
But then you also selected about 7 Detroit Lions, which was an
You know
interesting
what?
strategy.
I thought the Lions were going to have a good year,
Hey,
man.
shout
I
out-
really, I
shout
thought
out
the Lions
Danny.
were going to have a good year.
Shout out Danny Amendola.
I remember vividly picking him. Chris saying that was not a great selection.
Well, I was worried about his health.
Yeah.
You never know a wide receiver, especially a white wide receiver north of 30, well into his 30s, playing under Matt Patricia, who wears players down. I worried, but this goes to show how big of an Iron Man Danny Amendola is.
He ended up winning me some games.
Yeah.
Danny was the end of a stretch of Goff, Trey Burton, Tariq Cohen, Danny Dola. That hurts in rounds 5 through.
That's where you
well,
win the draft, in the
well,
middle.
Yeah.
Well, the
You
other
know?
thing is
DK
every one of my
Metcalf was
Detroit
also
Lions
picked
got hurt.
then.
Huh?
Every one
No,
of my
sir.
Detroit Lions got
Well,
hurt.
so I was right in a sense. So you
was my
worry
man.
about the
You-
Lions.
You picked
you were
DK
correct.
in the last round, round 16.
And he would have been the one that had gotten me out of the die tips.
yeah,
and,
not
and you
to
know what?
mention-
I'm mad I gave you bad advice. So,
Thank you.
okay,
Can
so
we get
can
into
we set the
that? Yeah.
table for what happened
That
last
needs to
weekend?
be-
Can you
that
set
needs
the
to come to
table?
light here.
You're the wordsmith.
Well, I don't know if I can. All I know is that Matt was asking for advice, and it really came down to Stephon Diggs or DK Metcalf.
And they were playing each other. It was in Seattle. Minnesota ended up, I think, winning 34-31 or something. It was a tight ball game. And all that matters is that it came down to Diggs and Metcalf, and he had to
Matt
start one.
started Diggs, and
Per
On
my
the
advice, but also per James Coe's advice, who's like the Babe Ruth
Let's throw
of
him out,
fantasy
yeah.
football. And,
I don't know who
sometimes
that is.
James gets it wrong.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he got it wrong, and die tips are the reason.
the Vikings also had the ball with were receiving a kickoff with about 40 seconds, and we're going to have to throw it.
Yes.
And fumbled that kickoff to give it back into the ball game. He needed one catch. One catch. Stephon
Kirk
Diggs
Cousins
would
Would
have
have
not
probably kept you from looking.
And
the
I
way you look.
I was asleep for that game. I did not watch that, and I woke up to numerous texts.
I was
Yeah.
living and dying with
Yeah,
that.
no,
You were
I
asleep.
saw that, and I appreciate.
That's amazing that
Yeah.
you were asleep. I was too. I was too. I was completely asleep. I knew Macon had it.
Yeah.
Like if I needed any type of information, I was
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to Macon.
Yeah. The group text has just got a little disruptive by
And
the
I
end of the year.
was- there-
Because
there-
I was trying to stay away at different times. I was not setting my lineup. I wasn't answering the group.
You didn't set your lineup half the year, Chris.
Yeah.
And I still didn't
No.
come in
And you
last
still
place.
didn't get-
Yeah.
I kind of. Did you want die tips?
No, I didn't want die tips. I thought bright side. I was like, well, if I end up with die tips, maybe it's good for the content.
Right.
But in retrospect, I'm really glad that I didn't get it. Not that it doesn't look good.
I think he nailed it.
It was a
Nailed
little bit like
fantastic.
Christmas, where I was like, I was committed to whatever it was going to be, and woke up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
woke up to the text messages that
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins did not throw to.
What would your
Stephon
life have
Diggs.
been like, Kev?
A little different than his.
How would that have played out?
Get to wear a what's it called?
A Buffon.
Buffon.
Yeah, I don't get a bouffant. You know,
What do you get?
Proper
Don't
term.
fucking give
I don't
me
get
anything.
anything.
hat,
I don't get
cap.
anything.
Give me anything.
I don't get anything. I gotta go in. I gotta go to the bar.
Your hair is much shorter, which it would have had the Guy Fieri
It would have
effect.
looked more, yeah.
We didn't have that clause where
Yeah.
I had to spike it out, so I'm not spiking it out.
Yeah.
So
I actually think it looks really good.
I
I've been
appreciate
saying that since the
Thank you.
beginning.
Is there
And,
any part of Chicago you can go back to with those tips?
him?
Yeah.
Any
the
part?
north side.
Just not south.
Northside for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, East Loop,
Oh, well, what is East Loop. You don't know nothing about the Loop.
Wrigleyville.
This guy doesn't know.
It needs to be mentioned that Matt was the general manager of a club that included Lamar Jackson, who had perhaps the greatest fantasy season of all time.
No, you did. I think we're in a very competitive league.
Yeah,
and,
you went 4-9. It's not like you went 0-13.
There were some weeks where
Parody.
I thought I had it,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
week one started Jared Goff. Didn't know Lamar Jackson was going to be
Very true.
hey,
the guy.
Very true.
to buzz in, you guys are gonna have to say buzz, okay?
Oh,
Okay.
we're playing trivia now. Okay.
Let's do the Chicago trivia. These are obviously two esteemed gentlemen from Chicago. They're disapproving of my Chicago accent.
Awful.
Yeah,
Just
it's
so
it's more
terrible.
Boston, I think,
Fucking,
than anything.
What is that? I don't know what that is. That's
And
been
then-
going on
and
for a
then more-
while.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
That's
Fucking go to the
Going
Walter
on for a
Payton
while.
Hill and run some sprints. That's where I'm going to take
Hey,
you.
dude, don't bring up Walter.
I'm going to take
hey,
the Walter.
dude.
Hey, Walter Payton Man of the
sacred.
Year here.
That's sacred. I get
Okay,
it.
hey,
I get it. So
former.
respect.
Former. I'm
Former.
washed up now. Okay.
No, no,
Can
no,
we
no.
get
You ain't
Calais
washed
Campbell?
up. But
I'm
you know,
fucking take you down
hey,
and get you a Chicago dog. Okay. Huh? Mike Ditka
what's on
used
a
to
Chicago dog?
do relish.
That's it.
I think.
that's it.
Definitely not ketchup.
Hey,
we don't fucking put a
What we
fucking
do-
ketchup
hey,
on the.
What we do, run it through the garden.
Huh?
Run
Hey.
it through the garden.
Yeah,
Hey, what we
whatever
do-
he said.
Running through the garden.
We're gonna do some trivia, okay? Because we got Kurt Menefee coming up. He's actually a real famous person, unlike the four of us. So we're gonna fucking breeze through this fucking trivia, okay?
Y'all can actually both participate in this one. How many residents would the city
What does
of Chicago?
what does the loser? What does the loser get? Or what happens to the loser?
What's happening right now?
It's trivia.
what are we
We're gonna
talking
ask you some Chicago trivia,
Okay.
and if you lose, you just can't go home.
Okay.
Yeah, they just can't go home.
I gotta
Agree?
go home. I gotta fly back tomorrow.
Oh shit! Midway,
Yeah.
Midway.
Brother Rice got a fundraiser. I gotta be there.
Midway's
Brother
a
Rice.
fucking nightmare.
Hey, shout out to B Rice.
Yeah, shout
Thank
out
you.
to Brother Rice.
St. Rita as well.
Okay, but what happens if
Nobody
I get
cares.
one?
Nobody
You know what?
cares.
We'll leave it to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the loser has to go
I
to
do-
Jack
I
and
can-
Jill's today and eat 2 Charlottesville hot dogs.
There's such a thing. What's
What's
on
a
a
Charlottesville
what's on a
hot
Charlottesville hot dog?
Ketchup.
Ugh.
Oh,
no.
no.
I'm already.
Everybody
I'm
knows
not
that's
too.
not
I'm
a
not
thing.
feeding
You know
it
what?
to
You know what?
my kids.
I get my dog. I get ketchup and mustard. I'm all right with that.
Mine,
Okay.
I get mustard.
I get ketchup. Ketchup. Just
That's
Ketchup.
disgusting. This is taking too long. How many residents are in the city of Chicago?
you got to buzz.
Chicagoland area? Are we talking?
Sure. As per Chalk Media Research,
3 mil.
Yeah, I was gonna say around 3 million.
you can't answer the same.
All right,
number.
3.5.
Kevin Backey's the winner, 2.7 million.
Wow, little city. To be honest,
I think it's the third largest in America.
Isn't it?
I mean, we might be playing some trivia here, but
We start talking second city if
confirmed.
you want.
All right,
third
that-
largest,
po-
but
point,
he's had-
point to
yeah,
that.
yeah. He's had time. You know how it was 2.7, but he was like, 3 million.
When
Could-
was
no, that was Kev. That was
Oh, yeah.
Back.
I just
back,
I,
back,
that
back.
was off
I
the
had
cuff.
to go 3.5.
That was off the cuff.
when was
man.
the Great Chicago Fire?
1905.
No, 1870.
1871.
Wow.
Baggy.
Wow.
Bangarang.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it coming.
You
This
can't
is all
go.
day, brother.
Matt,
This is
you
all
can't-
day.
My dad's a history teacher, so that's not.
Oh yeah,
Well,
shout
that-
out
that
to
makes
him.
you look like
that's
even
not
more
gonna
of a
go at
jerk.
St. Rita.
You
This-
can't throw that blurb in there.
Yeah.
Doxed your own dad.
The south side of Chicago has a population of
His face when I realized that he doxed his dad. All 10,000 subscribers are gonna just be on his ass.
St. Rita.
Go ahead.
population of Southsiders.
Hold on.
Oh, you're gonna
That
say
is
that's not a
such
thing?
that-
A million.
Are you going south of the loop?
Yeah, what's the
You going south of
parameters?
Madison?
I'm just throwing.
I mean,
I'm
this
throwing-
is a-
I'm throwing out.
Yeah, I'm going under 500,000.
Closer to
I was
800,000.
gonna
Are
say
we
playing Price is Right?
750,000.
752.
Mm.
So I get that point.
3-0.
What's the name of y'all's
wait.
MLS team?
Who got that? Who got that one?
Fire.
Fire. I knew that.
How do you say fire?
This guy.
How do you say fire?
Why are they doing that?
Why does
Yeah.
fire have 2 syllables?
Fire.
What's the name of
Don't
the
cut that.
W?
Yeah.
What's the name of the WNBA team?
The sky.
Hmm.
That
Becky,
Bellanoa
feel free to
was
jump
there.
in at any
Hot.
Yeah,
point.
Becky, feel free to care.
I didn't know.
about
I
the
know.
WNBA.
Here's the thing. I didn't know we're doing the buzz thing.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
First
You
one.
know
to
it.
learn
oh,
it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was being polite.
You're just a little slow.
Hey, St. Patrick's Day. What happens around those parts?
You dye the river green.
Which river?
Well, actually,
Chicago
Fucking
River.
Chicago River.
The
Actually,
Chicago
though,
River.
By Chicago Cut. It runs right by Chicago Cut.
Here's the thing. When he does
Here's
this,
the thing.
I got it. Can't
it's not,
stand
It's
it.
not about the river.
It's
in
so
Dye Green.
bad.
It's the Southside Irish Parade, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what's
Which
what,
they took away and they brought back. It's phenomenal.
So for Charlottesville,
the other part,
people-
I love it when he says that word.
hey, the other part, the downtown parade, nobody on the south side cares about.
No, it's like our
Oh, that's a
Foxfields.
poser parade.
It's like our Foxfields for the Charlottesville people.
Nobody
watching.
cares.
Want to take off the
Nobody
S
cares.
at the end of that?
Foxfields.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
bro.
So- horse.
and when Chris
Foxfields.
starts saying St. Rita, then I'll stop
Okay.
saying
St.
Foxfields.
Rita's.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so there you go.
She was a fucking saint.
Her name was St. Rita.
I got an aunt called Rita because of St. Rita.
Nice.
Because my grandfather was the head basketball coach at St. Rita. I got more Rita blood than this guy.
Oh yeah, he's a
Questionable-
poser.
questionable.
Just like those
Questionable,
downtown paraders.
Questionable.
He used to go to the
It's
downtown
not
parade.
question. Your gym
The
Is-
hallway leading up to
okay. The hallway leading to the gym is what?
Barney Backey hallway.
Barney
Shout out to
Becky.
Barney Backey.
Yeah.
Hey, where do the White Sox play these days?
Comiskey.
Hmm.
Ooh, that was slow by you. You're-
No, he's right.
Oh.
Comiskey Park. Always Comiskey. It's called Guarantee Rate Park right now, but nobody says that.
Yeah.
Guaranteed
That's wrong.
rate field if we're being technically
Whatever.
correct. At time of taping, folks, it's 2 o'clock on a Friday in Chicago.
Oh, I didn't know we were letting people know that.
Yeah. What's the temperature?
34.
I would say 38
It's
degrees.
35 degrees right now.
Wow.
Y'all are pretty good.
Eh.
Y'all are pretty good.
Is that considering the wind chill?
Nah.
Is that AccuWeather?
It's
Because
called,
I
it's
remember
called
getting
34,
I actually-
and I'm closer than you.
I actually
I mean, what
remember
more do you
getting
want?
reprimanded by Macon for using the iPhone, and then he said AccuWeather is
I don't know what y'all are talking about. I was answering a text.
well.
That means we're boring him.
No. It's, we
yeah,
got
I think
Kurt Menefee's up in 3 minutes.
Hey, talk to us about the Blues
So this-
Brothers.
What do you want to know?
First names?
Elroy?
Elwood.
Eh. Great movie.
And Joliet Jake.
Oh, yeah. Do you know where Joliet's at?
yeah.
Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah.
Remember
Great,
seeing
hey,
the
great
car-
casinos.
the
Great
cars,
casino. In the home
the
of St.
cars that are-
Francis, University of St. Francis. My brother went there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Fighting Saints, and also home of Gordy
Creative.
Gillespie. Hey, Gordy Gillespie.
Of
Yeah.
Winning
course.
his baseball coach, and
Gordy Gillespie won a lot of baseball games.
he's great.
When was Chicago settled?
Oh, wow.
Is it settled?
18,
After the fire, it was.
21.
No.
Nah.
Just definitive.
I'm going to go 1802.
Okay, it was settled in 1780. When it became an incorporated town in 1833.
Now you got to go with
So-
that.
An
I'll give him
incorporated
it. I'll
city
give
in
him it.
We're talking-
1837.
Yeah.
I'll give him it. His dad's a history teacher. He already said that.
Do you know the motto of Chicago?
The Windy City?
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
It's more of a nickname, I would
Everybody
say,
knows
than a
this one.
motto.
I don't know that.
Okay.
What would the nickname be?
That's like eating deep dish pizza.
If you had
Hey,
to give,
that's like eating deep dish pizza. Like, nobody eats deep dish
No.
pizza.
Really?
No.
Talk about that.
No. Nobody eats deep
it's
deep
called
dish
tavern
pizza.
style, cut in
Correct.
squares.
Pizza tastes better cut in squares.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
It's more of a tourist thing.
Take your word for it.
Deep dish. It's a good switch up every now and then. Lou Malnati's, Giordano's.
Who's the best football player of all time? And why?
Walter Payton.
And why?
I concur.
Because he'll win you a game. If you need a quarterback, he'll play quarterback and win that game.
What else could he play?
Punter,
Anything.
place kicker,
Yeah?
whatever. What do you need?
Other sports?
You could probably play hockey. back
Need
in
my
the
Land
day.
Rover serviced? Could he
No,
service
Walter.
mine?
I don't want Walter working on your car.
No, you don't. He's above that.
Jared's a great guy.
Jared is a good
Jared's
guy.
a great guy.
Friend of yours? Friend of the
Yeah,
program?
I know Jared.
Yeah,
a long
no,
time.
he's a good
I
dude.
know
I saw
Jared
him
a long
in
time. Yeah,
I saw him in Miami.
I knew Jared back in high school, and then when he was at Miami with a couple friends of mine, when we used to go down there and have a good time.
Have a good time.
Great time.
Great time.
Great time.
Kevin, bad back.
Thanks for having us on.
Good to
Appreciate
see
it.
you, man.
Yeah.
A little Chicago knowledge.
Always.
Oh, you gonna pound it? You didn't wash your hands earlier?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll pound because
We're gonna go back in the green room.
Yeah, you can go
Yeah,
back and hang out in the
we're
green room.
yeah.
The green room is very luxurious here. And we have Kurt Menefee calling in a second. So can we clear the set, guys? So yeah, that's I hate to bust my buddy's balls, but this is, as far as the famous people quotient, we got Kurt Menefee on now. This is a big step up. We just did our fantasy football rundown. Now we've got the golden voice of NFL Fox Sunday, Kurt Menefee, good friend of mine and a friend of my pops. Kurt, how we doing?
Good, man. That means you actually run out of people already to have on your show? Is that what
No,
it is?
no. I'll tell you what happened. This is no bullshit. It was we were supposed, like you wake up and this is my first foray into this stuff, my first fall, and it ends, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, the off season is going to be great. There's so much more I can talk about than football, and I'm looking around the first week and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, there's a reason the XFL starting soon. I think it's got there's a nice little niche you guys can occupy, and I say you guys because Kurt is not only does he do a great job on Fox Sunday, I think he's the guy that keeps that ship afloat with all those personalities. But he's doing play-by-play now, and you did play-by-play last year in the NFL. You're doing it with the XFL now. Tell me a little bit about what you got going with them.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the lead play-by-play guy on the Fox broadcast for the XFL, along with Joel Klatt, who will be our analyst. Brock Heward's going to be with us on the sidelines this week. And, the league is starting up, and hopefully people got a chance to see the promotion during the Super Bowl. They ran a commercial, or you've heard about it, but it's the 8-team spring football league that's kind of starting up. And I think if you're a football fan, you're going to be some names that are familiar to you. Some of them may be, whatever happened to that guy, and now here he is, but they're still young enough to play. But, I think when you look around the quarterbacks in this league, you get guys like Josh Johnson, who obviously if you're an NFL team, he's probably been on yours. He's been on 13 teams in 11 years, but he was a starter, one of those games I did last year for Washington. So he started in the NFL as recently as that. Connor Cook.
I played in that game.
Yeah, you did?
Well, we played against Josh the last game of the year.
Yeah, right. And that's when he came in down the stretch, and they still had a chance to kind of make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Washington.
Yeah, and it's a guy
so
that you root for, and I bet there's as you play in the NFL a long time, you realize that there are a lot of guys that don't get the same opportunities, and the quarterback position for sure, but position players as well. Who are some guys that you're sitting there and you're pulling for as you watch these XFL games? I know there's some names that you might hear and go, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, well, you start talking about it, and Josh is the quarterback, but as I was saying, Connor Cook, who started that playoff game for the Raiders, Matt McGloin, who is there, Cardale Jones, obviously won a national championship at Ohio State, and Landry Jones, former Oklahoma quarterback, is reunited with Bob Stoops, who's the head coach of the Dallas team. So you get those guys, but then you get a guy like today. We're doing the game between L.A. and Houston tomorrow. Sammy Coates, the guy, was a third-round pick of the Steelers, and he just couldn't stay healthy and kind of bounced around. But he's still 26 years old. He's kind of refocused his life. I think you know how it is. Part of it, and we saw that with Andrew Luck a little bit. Guys, you get beat up physically, and after a while, it gets to you mentally. And him kind of being away from football last year because he went to training camp with the Chiefs and that kind of thing. But being away from it, he said it's allowed his body to get healthy and his mind to get right. And he's refocused. And you look at a guy like that, and you go, that's the kind of guy you're pulling for, who's got the physical skills. And for whatever reason, the body betrayed him early. hopefully, if he can get it right, there was a reason he was a third-round pick, and we can see, a guy like that excel, or Eli Rogers, who played in Pittsburgh, or Lance Dunbar, who was with the Cowboys. I mean, so you get guys that are familiar names if you're a football fan, and you want them to get another chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all pull for guys like that. And I looked at this, and I'm wondering if the XFL's strategy in recruiting players to play in the league, is there kind of a mission statement for them behind closed doors? If they said, this is going to be our priority, bigger name guys, or maybe not so much bigger name guys. We're actually just going with guys that we can rely upon being on our roster at the end of the year. We're not necessarily trying to, be this farm system where our best players are getting plucked all the time. What's that kind of dilemma like for them?
Yeah, and I think that's true. I mean, I think it's like anything else. Look, the guys that are here, they're committed to being here the full season. If they sign a contract to play in the XFL, they're not free until May 1st, which is a week after the NFL draft. So they'd be able to spend the rest of the offseason with teams. And anybody would be lying if they said everybody's here, at least from a player standpoint, and maybe even some of the coaches, because you want to advance your career. And the NFL is the dream job. But this is not a developmental league per se to get guys there. But that in the end, if you can have a Sammy Coates come out and do what he is supposed to do, or Landry Jones or Cardale Jones, and they wind up back in the NFL, it's also, it's a notch in the belt for the league and what guys can do. And saying that, okay, you may not be there right now, but you can get back there. And I always go back to my experience. I did NFL Europe for 10 years. I did play-by-play at Fox before I was in the studio, and part of that was NFL Europe. And I always go, there was a couple of guys, Lawrence Phillips or those kind of names that you knew going into the season. But at the end of the season, it always was, Kurt Warner, obviously everyone knows his story. He was on a team. Jake Delhomme was the backup quarterback. Both those guys went in and played the Super Bowl. But when we went into the season at NFL Europe, and that was an off-season thing, we were like, if these guys could just make a practice squad, it'll be a really cool story, And they wound up doing more than that. James Harrison was over there. Adam Vinatieri, who's on the all-time 100 team. So sometimes guys just need an opportunity, man. Right. And so I'm always in favor of if you can give a guy a chance and then let him prove himself, then why wouldn't you?
Curt Menefee is our guest, getting ready to call XFL this weekend on Fox. Curt, take this in any direction you like. I'm curious about maybe the most bonkers rule the XFL has, one that you think might make a whole lot of sense, and how difficult is it for you coming off NFL season to prepare to call an XFL game with so many different rules?
Yeah, the one thing I will say, if you watch it, it's going to be, for the most part, the rules are the same as football, whether it's college or pro. You only have to get one body part down, whether it's 1 foot or an elbow, whatever, not 2 feet to make a catch. That's different than the NFL. The play clock is 25 seconds, but they have an official ball spotter. That's a little bit different. But it's really about 30 seconds between plays. And the way teams run hurry-up offenses and spread offenses in college now, it's really not that big a difference. I think the two places you'll notice are both special teams area in that, and this is, I think the NFL is going this way anyway. If you look at it, and not to bore people with statistics, but kickoffs are only 6% of plays in an NFL game, but 20% of the head injuries come on kickoffs.
Yeah.
And so everybody's trying to find a way to reduce that. So what they've done here with the XFL is both teams, you'll see the kicker is lined up at the 30-yard line, but both the receiving team and the coverage team are lined up on the receiving team's end of the field, 5 yards apart. So you don't get that 30-yard running head start, and no one can move until the deep man touches the football, or it's on the ground for 3 seconds and the official blows the whistle. But anyway, so the point is you don't get that 30-yard of one guy trying to brace himself with someone else running into him full speed, and that hopefully will reduce collisions and reduce head injuries. And I think that's one direction. The NFL, we saw at the Pro Bowl, they're trying to experiment with 4th and 15, whatever they can do to take that out of the game. So I think that's a smart aspect of it. It's more about health and safety. And then from an entertainment standpoint, there are no extra points. So when teams score touchdowns, you either go for 1 point conversion from the 2-yard line, 2 point conversion from the 5, or 3 points from the 10. So even if you're down by 18 points in the fourth quarter, it's still 2 scores. So it adds excitement. It takes out what was a routine, just line it up and kick an extra point, and adds a different level to it that I think fans are really going to love.
Curt, are you if you're the coach and you've got great football knowledge, are you first touchdown? Are you going for 1, 2, or 3? Was it?
Yeah, you can go for. It's funny,
what are you doing? What's Coach Menefee doing?
Well, Coach Menifee is well. It depends on what kind of offense I've got.
Yeah.
It's how much I trust my quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think I'd go for 2 or 3 out of the gate. And one of the things, June Jones is coaching the Houston team, and we're talking to him about it today. And he said his inclination at first was to go for 3, maybe not every time, but use it the majority of times, because he said if you get it once, that makes up for the 1 and 2. So
Right.
like you're not chasing points the rest of the day. He says, but now that he's kind of done the math on it a little bit more, but he probably would lean towards going for 2. But he is certainly not opposed to going for 3 in a scenario where the scoreboard doesn't necessarily say we're down and we need these points. He thinks that it can be a dagger if you can add 3-4 points and you end up with a 9-point touchdown instead of getting a 7-point touchdown.
You mentioned these coaches. You say June Jones. You say Bob Stoops. Like, who are some of the names
Mark
in coaching? Trestman. The names in coaching that popped up, because I figure the coaching names are huge. And what is motivating these coaches to join this league? Is it just love for the game? Are they bored? Do they see this as a pipeline to get back in the league?
I think it's a variety of things. I think you kind of hit on it. You get a guy like June Jones, who's approaching 70, and he's coached in the NFL. He's coached in college in Hawaii at SMU, and had been coaching in the CFL the last couple of years. And I think this is just he loves football.
Yeah.
And so this keeps him around the sport. He's an innovator. I mean, he came one of the innovators for the run and shoot, which is really kind of how the spread offense got started. And he just loves doing it. Ted Cottrell is his defensive coordinator, who's been around the NFL for forever. And I think older guys like that, it is their chance to really stay involved in it and keep teaching, because that's what they are, really, teachers. And I don't want to speak for anybody else, but you get some of the younger guys. You look at Mark Trestman, I think, was coach of the Bears, and I think he still probably thinks he has an NFL future.
Yeah.
Pep Hamilton, who's the coach in D.C., he was a quarterback's coach in Indy with Andrew Luck, and at Stanford with Luck and Harbaugh. And so he's never had a chance to be a head coach before. And I think that this is a different opportunity for him, rather than bouncing around and being a position guy in the NFL. Get some head coaching experience, and then you can go back with that as well. So again, this is me speaking my perception.
But you
look at a guy like that, and you can see there are different reasons for different guys.
So are there days shorter than NFL days? Because I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, some of these guys, they're making $55K for 10 games. Some of the quarterbacks are making $500,000. Maybe I'm going to get my ass off the couch and play in the XFL if they don't have as many meetings and shit.
I tell you what, and the practices, I don't know, maybe they do a little bit more hitting than you guys did.
Yeah, well, no, thank you. You got me. You stopped me right there. Stopped me in my tracks
we're
right
done.
there. Yeah.
We're done.
Well, so
But
Kurt?
I think it's really cool, like, to talk to some of these guys again. I talked to Sammy Coates, Coney Ely.
God, he was a really good player.
He was the second-round pick of the Carolina Panthers in that Super Bowl against Denver.
3 sacks.
He had 3 sacks. 3 sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been the MVP had Carolina won that game, but he's another one. It's just kind of like injuries and the mental aspect of it. And he took a year off in football, and now he wants to find his way back. And again, he's another guy. He's 26, 27, but as a defensive lineman, if he can get going again, he's going to get an opportunity. And if he gets an opportunity, he can get another 7, 8, 10 years out of this thing,
Yeah. What does it mean to St. Louis to get a team?
It's when you look at the ticket sales for this league so far, Seattle is up there. Houston has done really well. But I'm told, at least, the number one place for season tickets has been St. Louis. And they believe that a lot of that is, one, there's a thirst for football. I mean, you played there, know. I mean, the fan base is solid. They know their game. But I think a lot of them also are glad to have it back, in whatever capacity they can. And maybe part of it is to kind of stick it to Stan Kroenke, as there have been some groups that say we want to show, as the city of St. Louis, that we can support a football organization. Now, it's obviously not the NFL, but I think there is that base that's there. But they're, as of now, at least last I heard, the number one place as far as season tickets go. So I think they're thrilled and really excited. And, right now on paper, you go, they should be a competitive team, but we don't know. I mean, that's one of the weird things, too. You're putting all these teams together, 52-man rosters, coaching staffs. None of them have ever worked together. None of them have gone through adversity together. So we'll see how it winds up being. The best team on paper is not always the best team on the field at the end of the season.
Before we hit you with 1 or 2 non-XFL questions before we get you out of here, it's been great talking to Kurt Menifee, who's doing a bunch of play-by-play for the XFL, Fox NFL Sunday. straight man, guy that keeps the ship afloat, as I said earlier. But do you have a prediction after you just told me how unpredictable it is in the championship game in the XFL? Give me the two teams who are going to be in it.
All right. Well, so there are 4 teams in the East, 4 teams in the West. I would say, again, it being unpredictable, my prediction will be probably DC, the DC Defenders out of the East. That's the team that Pep Hamilton is the head coach of, Cardell Jones, the quarterback.
I like that. Yeah.
And then I out of the West, I kind of like, if you look at it, the only team I think that is going to be built around defense is the Los Angeles Wildcats. And Winston Moss is their head coach. Pepper Johnson's their defensive coordinator. Norm Chow is the offensive guy, if you follow college football. And I think they're going to be able to score enough points while being defensive focused. And I think most of the other teams are going to be centered around offense. I do like this Houston team with June Jones, the head coach, and kid P.J. Walker's the starting quarterback. He beat out Connor Cook in training camp. Walker went to Temple. He was in that Matt Rule system.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be really good, but I would say only because of the defensive aspect of it. Josh Johnson is their starting quarterback right now. I go with L.A. So let's go L.A.D.C.
I like that. 2 major cities, East Coast, West Coast. That's going to be good for the league. Yeah. Make, you had some non-XFL questions.
Yeah, Kurt, you have to take a 12-hour road trip with one of the following. Who are you picking? Bradshaw, Long, Strahan, or Johnson?
Well, now, look, I'm on here with Howie's son.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm kind of
people forget
aren't
that.
I? This is not a fair. Yeah, you've never heard that.
No, but also Kurt. But if I had to guess, Howie's going to be up there because he's probably a good travel mate. I mean, he's low maintenance.
Absolutely, he's low maintenance, and I think I could talk to Howie about almost anything.
Yes.
It could be about movies. It could be about football. Well, he could really talk about football.
Yeah.
But it could be about politics. It could be about anything. And so that's a kind of partner you want to have on a road trip. We can have a variety of conversations. But I'd say Howie would be up there, and then Strahan would probably be very close because that 12-hour road trip would certainly be in a private plane, is my guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, with the money he's got. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's a good way to answer that question. Yeah, so one last question, because we're uniform snobs here, since we do have a minute or two. I'm looking at all the logos. I don't know how much of a uniform or logo snob you are. I know what I like here. I haven't seen the uniforms. Do you have a favorite logo? Do you think anybody's got a really elite get up out of these teams?
Well, I'll say, again, I like the DC Defenders logo.
That's a good logo.
Do you have that in front of you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice and clean. I like the kind of X, if you will. But I do like the Houston Roughnecks because it kind of harkens back to the Houston Oilers days, and it feels like it's Texas and tradition and football. And so I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I like the Seattle Dragons because I did NFL Europe and I love the Barcelona Dragons.
Same
team colors, and a similar logo.
Yep.
But if you had me take one, I'd just take, because I think Houston wraps up everything. It wraps up football. It wraps up the tradition here. So that'd probably be the one I'd go with.
What say you, Make?
Yeah, I liked all of those. I'll go DC Defenders in a close one.
Golly, at first glance, I was looking at the Dallas Renegades because of the color palette, that I got going. But the DC Defenders logo is great. It's kind of like what the Titans logo should have been. So hey, look good, feel good, play good, and Kurt is going to be in the booth with yes, exactly. So it all stems back to uniforms, which we talk about all the time on this pod. Kurt's going to be in the booth all the time. What's the first one you're going to be in the booth for? What's the first game?
So it's this weekend, LA at Houston. Tomorrow, I'll be doing games with Joel Klatt every Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern time on Fox. And I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this league. Everybody keeps going, we've seen these other startup leagues, and they don't go. One, I don't know any that have had the financial backing that this one has. But secondly, every Saturday and every Sunday, the game times are locked in, and they're on a network. On Saturdays at 2 o'clock, they're on ABC. At 5 o'clock, they're on Fox. And so when you get home and you want to turn the TV on, hey, it's 3:30. There's a game on my local station here. So I think that's going to help out a lot, just people knowing where it is and where to find it.
You're on the Green Light Pod, which is a part of Chalk Media. Kurt, throw us the word chalk in the first quarter. We'll be watching. We'll be listening. And all of our listeners and viewers will know what you're talking about.
No. See, this is going to be actually easier than you think.
It will be.
Because they are going to be very public about betting.
Oh, yeah. And all we talk about a lot of gambling.
Yeah, at the start of the games, we're going to give the point spread and what the over-under is. So, we can talk about the chalk.
Yeah, there we go.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, the beer drinker me is very happy because now I have something to watch on Saturdays, football related. It's not the CFL. It's not some alien-looking football game. It is American football, and it will be, serenaded with the play-by-play. Your TV set will be your living room will be serenaded with the golden voice of Kurt Menefee.
Dulcet tones.
The dulcet tones. That's what I'm looking for. I appreciate you, Kurt. We'll talk to you soon, and good luck this season. You don't get a break.
All right. Anytime, guys. Take
All
care.
right.
Always glad to be with you.
See you, bud. Thank you.
True
All
love.
right, so we're back. These dudes who were just in our green light green room. Pretty nice back there, right?
That's great.
Really
setup.
Great
hospitable.
view. Yeah, thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
They're back, so we had to interview Kurt Menefee, and now I got my boys back on the pod, Bad Back Backy and Died Tips Conrath, two elite athletes, and now podcasters.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel good about it.
You might get your own pod, you said?
I think me and you can do something.
Questionable.
Yeah. This is a nice setup.
Thank you.
This is nice
Appreciate it.
setup.
Thank you.
This is beautiful. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Thanks for having us.
So we're
Thanks for coming.
gonna do the mailbag
Yeah.
here, and you guys, we figured it would be great to have you along for the mailbag. So chime in.
Just love to listen. Yeah.
Whenever you see fit.
Becca Mitch says, my Falcons went 6-2 to close the season last year.
And that's not a question, but to be fair, I did ask for people to sell me on why their shitty teams will be better in 2020. And Becca, who is a longtime follower, I appreciate you, asks about the Falcons. The Falcons went 6-2 after the bye. Their 6-2 record was the best in the NFC. That's actually a bit of a shock to me.
Wow.
After that point in the season, so I love the Falcons to turn it around next year. You have that unique situation where you've got an elite quarterback and a shitty record and a chance to turn it around. They beat San Francisco up there, right? They beat New Orleans. They reshuffled their coaches. That was a really big one.
A Mostert fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 3 top 55 selections in the draft. They got the second rounder from New England, Sanu, stealing. Not
Right.
that it would have been stealing if New England had capitalized on that. But Lindstrom was their first rounder. He was the guard last year. He only played in 5 games, so you're going to get him back. And you're going to need those young guys back in the fold. Matt Ryan was sacked 48 times. It's the most in the league. Julio Jones got to start scoring touchdowns at some point. No one's doubting the fact that he's elite. They just got to get more out of him. He scored like 0 touchdowns in 11 of the last 12 games. It's insane. They can fix that. And the rest of the NFC South has quarterback problems or questions, possibly problems down the line. You don't know. I know what's going to happen with Drew Brees, but you don't really know. Cam, you legitimately don't know. And Jameis, I bet he gets franchised, but that might come up later in the mailbag. And the Atlantic defense was the biggest improvement after the bye. They 22 points or less in 6 of 8 games. You get Neal. I don't know what's going on with Neal, but he got hurt in like the first 3 games in the opener last 2 years. And the biggest thing next year, 1 out of 5 of non-divisional home games will be versus teams that had winning records last year. And that's the Seahawks.
Shane French asks, if you could play any other sport other than the 4 major ones in the U.S., which sport and why? Also, can you beat Lane in a race?
International soccer.
Curling.
Really?
Squash.
Not international soccer?
No, curling.
Think about the lifestyle.
Curling's phenomenal.
What's that lifestyle like?
I don't know, but all I know is I've done it, enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and I'll do it again.
It's great. Bad back, but are you going to be recovered by the time we get to curling? Can you get
You know
there?
what? Right now the back's ready for curling.
Okay.
I just need ice. I need ice.
Ice and stem.
No, I need ice.
Oh, you need ice. Okay. That's
Like-
all you need. Yeah. A curling field.
Sean Leonard asks, if Stafford stays healthy, are the Lions a divisional round team or a championship round team?
Yes.
Oh, man. I love the under the radar Lions. It's not listen, people give me shit for this because I do like Matt Patricia. And I got to interview him in Miami. That was actually fun. It was good to see my old coach. But if Stafford stays healthy, yes, that's the big key. I don't know about the recovery from that injury, but I think they're a playoff team. I don't know if they're a championship round team, but if you look at the quarterbacks, you don't like it. You guys don't think that?
Here's the Chicago thing. Like,
oh yeah, the Bears. Bears.
No.
Well.
I mean, they got to step up.
Yeah, they did. You're right. They do. They do.
That's
Yeah.
good.
On one hand, Chicago has to step up.
That's true.
But but the problem is, and speaking of your Bears and the rest of the NFC North, the Bears have 21 free agents this year. They have the 6th worst cap amount of cap space, and the Packers are bottom 10 as well. So there's turmoil in the rest of the NFC North. Quarterback situations in Chicago. You've got Stefanski leaving Minnesota. You don't know what effect that's going to have. You have the Packers who couldn't play fucking defense. They couldn't stop a toddler from running for 100 yards. So the rest of the division's in a bit of underrated turmoil. Galladay, you got him. He led the NFL.
He's a cake.
St. Rita.
Yeah, he was. Is Galladay St. Rita kid?
He went to my high school, yes.
Wow.
He's Southside. I'll own him. I'll own him.
Yeah, so...
I'll own him.
Yeah, no, Kevin actually took him in the draft.
Yeah.
The round.
That was
all the
I was
lines.
planning on taking Kenny.
But when Stafford left after week 9, is the figure.
I feel like this is a whole nother.
This figure's crazy.
You know what I mean?
He was number 1 in pass yards per game, number 2 in passing touchdowns, number 4 in yards per attempt, 391 yards a game. That was 5th in the NFL for the Lions as a team. And after he was gone, it dropped to 28th. Blau is not getting it done the same way. Blau. Again, next year, 4 of 5 non-divisional road games will be versus non-playoff teams. So that's huge. You watch them this year, the Packers game, the hands to the face with Trey Flowers, the tie, they blew it down in the desert to open. I mean, they started off with some promise and it all imploded. They were 0-8 without Stafford. You look at the playoffs this year in the NFC, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G, Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, and then there's Russ and Drew. But those 4 I mentioned off the bat, they all had knocks this year, right? Even A-Rod. I mean, his numbers weren't great. Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. Jimmy G is Jimmy G. Carson Wentz. Carson's got his doubters. If Stafford's in that group, you feel pretty good about him. So I think they're a playoff team.
You said A-Rod, and it is a Friday show. I downloaded Let's Get Loud by Jennifer Lopez after the Super Bowl.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How'd you like that halftime show?
It was fine.
Yeah, it was just fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt Guffin asks, you look lean. What are you weighing in at these days?
I'm glad you asked because I tipped the scale at 250.
I want to chime in on this.
Let's go around the
because
horn.
You know why? The weighing in at, that's not a big thing for me. I try bulking you up. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to gain. What am I lean gaining? Am I bulk gaining?
No, you're bulking. You're just straight bulking.
Oh, we got you on the supplement. No, the supplements.
Right. Yeah.
What are you weighing, Matt?
I told you the other day, I haven't stepped on a scale.
And yet you gave us your weight about 15 minutes ago on the show.
If I had to guesstimate, if I was guesstimating, okay. I would say it was somewhere in.
So yeah, here's the thing that people don't understand is I wasn't that fucking big. If you'd have seen me outside of my pads the last couple of years of my career, I was skinny.
I was shocked.
I was
shocked.
So now all the people
flippable. Some would say flippable.
I wanted this to come up. One time I flipped Matt Conrath over my head. This is when he was 300 pounds.
We need to get little Howie
and just smashed him. Yeah, we need to get my brother on the phone. But there's this long-standing debate here with me and Conrath. When we were teammates on the Rams, and we were training in Charlottesville. One day we went tubing, had a great time, got a little tipsy.
It's a good time.
Got back to the apartment to pregame for the night out and got to wrestling. And two man enter, one man leave.
Yeah, who made it out?
So my hamstring exploded because I flipped a 300-pound man onto my extended leg. I flipped you over my head. You tried to jump on my back, and basically. Can I finish? I jet lead you. I jet lead you in slow motion, and then your big body landed on my knee, and I had to give my hamstring up for the victory. But I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Can I get a rebuttal?
Yeah.
So.
What year?
What had happened was...
Yeah, when it starts with that.
Chris had jumped on my back.
Oh, it's the complete...
So I flipped him over my back.
Yeah.
And being 300 pounds, when I landed on him, he kind of
No,
Yeah,
what sounds more plausible?
I believe Matt.
When
You
all
believe
of a
that?
sudden his hamstring,
That happened.
he yelled out in pain, and I thought
Right.
I was in college at the time.
However,
What
it
he
went
did
down.
was he
however it
jumped
went
on somebody
down
he
here.
shouldn't have jumped on.
Yeah,
No.
I made it out that
Here
night.
goes this
Chris
this
did not.
this
We
Chicago
walked to Boylan-
tribalism here.
We
that
walked
just-
to Boylan Heights.
Yeah.
So here's the funniest part. I had to get
I
ready for
appreciate
camp.
that-
I'm 2
that-
weeks out of
yeah.
camp, and I had to miss a couple practices
Wow.
because I was hang cleaning, and the bar fell on my leg.
That's what we
they
told
didn't
Reggie,
realize
right?
is this big, soft piece of 300-pound meat.
You didn't
That's
tell the
soft.
truth?
Huh?
That's
You didn't
soft.
tell the truth?
The truth was
You
that.
just went out there on day one and you're like, oh.
Reggie,
Ah.
Well, I just said, "Hey, Reg, I was doing a hang clean, and the bar landed on my,
Something happened.
Something happened. Something fucking. So the refrigerator fell off a fucking truck. What am I gonna
I
say?
remember it happening.
It happens.
Sauvignon Bonk asks,
Good name.
if you could change one thing, what would you do differently in high school or college, if anything, to better prepare for your career?
You know what? I'm going to ask Matt this as well.
What?
I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There are
Well,
other
how is
athletes
that?
here, but Matt played in the NFL. So, was there anything that you would have done different?
Kevin and I also have careers. This doesn't say football career.
Well, it was posed to me.
Can I cross my legs here? Like when I
I honestly wasn't.
Okay, let's go around the room then. Me, out of that question, I probably would have left after my junior year.
Oh, you jerk. We had a great time that last year.
Yeah, I would have never.
We did have a great time, but
You went
No,
number
you
2
should've
in the
laughed.
draft.
and I could have
You
gone that
should've
number
laughed.
25 to some cushy fucking team where
Yeah.
everybody's watching you. You get leads and there's coverage.
You ended up winning 2
Big
Super
Long
city.
hates
Bowls,
St.
buddy.
Louis
Like, yeah,
was the headline.
Yeah, it happened later in life. It
It
happened later.
happened.
I get it.
Goes around, comes around.
This is great.
But the
What would
tail
y'all
end-
have changed?
I mean, honestly, go back to birth. I would have been born 5 weeks later. Would have so.
It's not high school or college.
Let's break this down, Chris. I think
This
you
is-
guys got you got held back.
Yeah, I got held back.
So I was the
The
youngest.
curriculum was a little much for me.
Got you. I was the youngest in my class. I was the August birthday,
Yeah, you wanted
So-
that good little league baseball.
but I was also 4 weeks early.
Uh-huh.
Lefty.
I was
Lefty.
I was almost an 11-pound baby.
That's
Wow.
next level. They
Wow.
asked
You were
about high
11
school and
pounds?
college, and
Yeah.
Matt
4
said
weeks
I
early-
would have
4
been
weeks
born
early.
later.
So, so
Zero.
that way, I would have gotten recruited by.
So you're saying in the womb,
yeah
5 weeks later.
I mean, sorry putting this out there on the interweb, but blame my parents a little bit.
a
Yeah,
World
for
Wide
sure,
Web.
for
World
sure.
Wide Web.
They definitely
No,
could have done something
no,
differently
Mom, Dad,
about that.
love you.
Wow.
Anything from you, Make?
Yes. I would have walked to class at the university. Instead, I drove about 3/4 of a mile, accrued many parking tickets,
Many.
and became fat. And
You did. Can we pull
yeah.
that picture
No,
up at
we
some point?
can't. At some point.
Listen,
I got fat. And now I love
Wasn't
walking.
fat.
There's nothing better than walking.
you weren't fat. We're
and I
not
wish I
body
had
shaming.
discovered that. a
Walking
decade
is
earlier.
great. We are Australopithecine. How do you say that? Australopithecine? How do you say that?
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
The fucking Neanderthal
Sapien.
or
The
Sapiens.
book. The
Yeah,
book.
it's a great
The
book,
book.
by the way.
I'm done
That's
with
what
it.
we were made to do, to
Done
be
with it.
bipedal
Finished it
and walk.
yesterday.
And in college,
Finished it
and in
yesterday.
college, where I was not learning how to pronounce that word, that challenging word, maybe I got it right. Macon looked like he got stung by a bunch of bees for about a year there. I mean, I wouldn't say you
I
were
was
fat.
shocked when he
Couple
showed me the
years.
picture.
It was a long couple years.
Yeah, a lot of college in.
How much did you weigh?
208, but I'm
Where are we
now,
at right now? Yeah.
yeah, like 172.
Okay, Kev, do you have an
Yeah.
adjustment?
For myself?
Yeah, for high school, college.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could have gone back and changed things.
You know
Becky's a
what?
Hawkeye,
Yeah.
folks.
Go Hawks. Go Crusaders.
That's right.
You know what? I think I would have worked a little harder. Would have worked a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's all.
motivational as hell, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to put that on a t-shirt.
That's what you tell your.
I would have worked a
employees
little
right now.
harder.
Just work
Yeah,
a little
I
harder.
know. I would have
Just
worked
work
a
a
little
little
harder. You know what?
harder.
I thought I was working hard, but I wasn't.
Chris Miller asks, if the Bucks keep Jameis and he drops his interceptions by half, how far do you see the Bucks going in the playoffs?
I like this is a football one. I had some stuff jotted down here. If he drops his interceptions by half, snap your fingers.
Yeah,
30
Pro
to
Bowl.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of 8 5,000 yard years among quarterbacks in the history of our game. Also the first to go for 30 and 30. And it's touchdowns and picks. If you cut that in half now, you're still Jimmy G, you're still Jared Goff, you're still, I got a couple guys here. The next highest pick guy was who? Baker with 21. So there's like a 10 pick gap between the two.
Wow.
If you cut it in half, I don't know. I think they're a lot better. Now, what I think they're going to do with him is they got no choice but to franchise him, and that tags to the tune of $26 million. You got to do it by March 10th. The market's not going to be there for him. I think at some point he's going to realize that. Maybe it's a 2-year deal with the Bucks. I got to keep him if I'm the Bucks. It's tantalizing, and this is his second year, of course, with the quarterback whisperer, Bruce Arians. So I got to keep him. You've got 2,000-yard receivers. You got deep threat and Perriman that's emerging late in the year, and you got a good defense with Bowles. Phillip Rivers is the one people are floating around. Now, all Phillip Rivers has done lately is throw picks. So you're going to replace Jameis Winston because he's throwing a lot of picks with Phillip Rivers, who's definitely an all-time great, but he's also only trails Jameis in the last 5 years as far as throwing picks. So 112 points off turnovers this past year. That's not getting it done. I'd say if you cut that down to 55, if you're cutting them in half, and that's no exact science, they're +9 in the point differential. Shout out to Cowboy Reed for pulling that stat. They'll be a lot better. I would keep Jameis. I'd franchise tag him. Give yourself a little bit of freedom in a year.
Owen Martin asks, if Drew Lock was never on IR and replaced Flacco earlier, do the Broncos make the playoffs?
I love Drew Lock. It's also, let's not be the victim of getting out ahead of our skates here on a small sample size, but I like Drew Lock. People you talk to says he's got all the intangibles, and his teammates really like him, and that's a big test when you read the quotes from his teammates. You can kind of read between the lines and see they really like him, and all I know is that they lost 5 one-score games, and they went 7-9. So Titans and the Bills made it with 9 and 10 wins respectively. I think, had Drew Lock been in there the whole time, he's got more time to learn. Maybe you win some of those close ball games. The toughest thing for them going next year is they have, their division, which is going to improve. I think if San Diego finds a quarterback, and even if the Raiders don't find a quarterback and they just incrementally continue to improve, the Las Vegas Raiders, either of those two places could be landing places for Tom Brady, some other quarterback. That division is going to improve, and of course you have the Chiefs, who are on top of the football world right now.
Sharif Del Monte at Headband Fever asks,
oh, that's a tough Headband Fever.
Favorite next Pats quarterback? Minshew, Mariota, Rosen, or Dalton?
Ooh.
I was gonna toss this one to Kev.
Say it again.
Favorite new Pats quarterback? Quarterback for the Pats.
Patriots.
Minshew, Mariota. It's Marcus Mariota. Rosen or Dalton? That'd be Josh or Andy.
I was going to ask you who
Take your time.
Los Angeles' the Chargers' backup was.
Was it a Tyrod Taylor?
It was a Taylor?
Was it Tyrod Taylor?
Well, it's Tyrod these days, first of
Tyrod.
all.
I saw Tyrod in Miami as well. Another Miami acquaintance.
Okay.
I told him we got you this year, fucker.
I could see Mariota going to the Pats and doing well. I really can. Because
I worry about Mariota.
you know what?
I think
They
he
go
likes
there-
Mariota.
What?
He
Am I
likes
saying
to be
that?
Marcus Mariota. Mar.
Okay.
Mar.
Mariota.
Like Del Mar.
Del Mar. Yeah, Mariota.
Boom.
All right. I can see him going to the Patriots and doing well because they just it's a quick pass system.
Nice. I like that. Okay. I don't like Marcus Mariota in New England. I worry about the way he grips the ball in the cold. Honestly, when you talk to quarterbacks.
Well, shit. I don't know that.
Well, no,
Chris.
I don't know. I mean, in general, I think the biggest thing for him is his mechanics. Like when you do talk to quarterbacks, he kind of cups the ball and kind of shot puts it a little bit. That's why I worry that, like, for him, it's not a destination thing. It's more of a mechanics thing. Now, Andy Dalton, as crazy as it sounds, and some people might be saying yuck, I actually think a guy with a ton of experience, with a good arm, can make a lot of throws.
He's got a great arm.
With Josh McDaniels. Yeah, I mean, Minshew. Listen, I like Minshew. Again, I think we're also swooning over a smaller sample size, and we did it early in the year. Nick came in. It wasn't much different. That offense was in shambles. And who else did he ask about? Who was the fourth?
Dalton, Rosen.
Rosen. Now that's an intriguing one because we haven't seen a lot of Rosen, and Rosen is kind of a blank canvas. And I know that the Pats liked him, I think, coming out. So, if I had to guess, it might be Dalton or Rosen out of those four.
I'll go Jacob Eason.
Ooh,
I think he's a phenomenal quarterback.
That's right.
that's right.
Phenomenal quarterback.
Yes, sir. You want to hit all these? I know Matt needs a haircut. Or do you want me to go
Yeah.
down
Let's
to
hit
the
him.
money
If
one?
he's got to roll, he's got to roll.
I don't.
Okay. Monolith Darnold.
Oh, monolith Sam Darnold.
Do the Jets go 9-7? Tyler asks.
I would say yes, but have you seen their schedule? Their schedule is fucking brutal. It's the second hardest in the league. Let me read some of these off. At Kansas City,
Loss.
at LA Chargers.
Win.
Depends on who the quarterback is. That's a good football team. Lost a lot of. At LA Rams.
Loss.
At Miami.
Win.
It's just big trips. At Seattle.
Loss.
So with all those West Coast trips, and then at home you got San Francisco, you got the Vegas Raiders. Again, second hardest schedule.
Miami's on the West Coast now?
No, I'm saying West Coast.
No,
sorry.
then he went
Big
Raiders.
trips. I said big trips.
Okay.
So West Coast, and then you got to go all the way down to Miami, which you do every year. But I mean, when you add in Miami to that slate of West Coast games, it's tough. Vegas Raiders.
That's the first time I ever heard of that.
Gase hasn't made the playoffs in 3 years as a head coach, and there's a ton of question marks in that division. Of course, they started 1-7 after he drank a drink after somebody with mono. I'm sure that's how it happened. And then they won 6 of the last 9. So, Robbie Anderson's up. I don't know what they're going to do. They need to give him more weapons, not less. They do have 2 third-round picks, and they have 4 top 79 picks next year. They need to invest that offense, though. They actually were 7th in defense this year. Shout out to Greg Williams. And I love Joe Douglas. I think they'll get it done. I just think next year is going to be tough. 9 of the last 10 picks were defense. Now it's time. 9 of the last 10 top picks were defense. Darnold was the only one who they didn't pick defensively with that top pick. They need to really invest in the offense. They'll turn it around, but not next year. I don't think so. Darnold was 6-2 in the last eight starts. Only Lamar has more wins in that span.
Lou T asks, what's the over-under on the number of games Big Ben plays in 2020?
I'm going to set it at 12.5. What say y'all?
Over.
Under.
The tough thing is I know he's going to miss 2-3 games. Something's going to pop up. He's going to miss 2-3 games, but he's got a lot to be excited about up there. I mean, that defense is fucking humming.
Nasty.
If he'd have been healthy this year, I think they would have made a run at it. I really do. I think this was their window. I think he saw that with the Pats down a little bit, and he was probably bummed. He's probably chomping at the bit to get out there.
He does a great job of managing the game. So if they have a good defense,
Yeah.
he's good to go.
How about that? Game manager.
Always Sunny asks, over under 5% of NBA players could play in the NFL.
Under.
What would that number be? I don't even.
5% of NBA players. How many players on each team?
Technically,
It'd all be
what?
tight ends, basically?
Technically,
Like-
15.
15 times 32
A couple DBs.
is
15 times 10 is 150, times 3 is 450.
yeah. So you're going to tell me that, more than
480.
20 something guys could play in the NFL? No.
You want 5% of 480?
Yeah.
I'll tell you 10% of 40 is 48.
Yeah,
5%
so it's
would be
24. Yeah, you're going to tell me that 24 or more guys are going to play in the NFL? Nope.
Under. Agreed.
Under.
Under. Not for longer than a
3
couple
plays.
games. Yeah, man, like,
Exactly.
Jeremy Morris asks, for an entire year, you have to, 1, introduce yourself as Chris Long, NFL's 2018 Walter Player Man of the Year,
What?
to everyone you meet and interact with.
It's the Walter Payton Man of the Year.
What'd I say?
Walter Player Man of the Year.
Damn.
Walter Payton.
The rare verbal
Walter
misstep
Payton.
by you.
It's the greatest player to
You're
ever
going to
play the game.
disrespect Walter Payton in front of the mob
Greatest
here?
player to ever play the game.
Fucking-
What are
Sorry.
you doing over here?
Or 2,
I have to chime in on that one.
you have to wear rollerblades at all times unless sleeping or showering.
I'm going to sequester myself like Bon Iver doing a fucking album in Wisconsin and just do content. And I'm going to take option A. There's no way I'm wearing.
But everyone you interact with too. So
Not
if
gonna
you come
interact
to
with a
men's
lot of
lunch,
people.
you would have to say, hey
No,
guys,
but
I'm Chris
people
Long.
Shout
I
out,
meet.
by the way.
People I meet.
NFL.
Great
People
shout
I
out.
meet,
Yeah,
right?
No, meet / interact with.
But they know it's
Yeah.
part of the bet,
Yeah.
though.
Well, sure, but you sidle up to men's lunch.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chris Long, 2018's Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Thank you.
I'm just going to be pretty antisocial and take option A. Rollerblades are not an option for me. I tried to do ice skating once, fell and hit my head. That's my only diagnosed concussion of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's also
Wow.
questionable.
That's great. That's good.
Diagnosed, yeah.
Yeah, diagnosed. That was the
I
key.
think I
Yeah.
could have diagnosed you with a concussion.
San Francisco?
No, Arizona. We were out there.
Oh,
Arizona. Yeah, I know Mike's a little low here. Arizona. He looked at me, didn't know what Saw was.
oh, Saw. That's I got a slant inside on
Everyone
Saw.
knows what Saw is.
Everybody.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck is the play?
Yeah, and I'm like, it's Saw, man. It's Sam Will. Like everyone.
It was
Sam
also
and Will are
play
covered.
80 of the
I
game.
mean, I believe.
So that's the mailbag.
That's right.
Let me hold on. That's funny. We don't get political.
Let
on
me
this
ask
show.
you this.
Oh, that's what you were doing.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Besides the Patriots, who does well with many draft picks?
You know what? I think about different teams like develop different positions well. Like the Steelers do a really good job with wideouts. The Ravens have drafted really well over the years. I think about their front office as being really prolific. The Pats haven't hit on their mid-round picks in a while. So I think just different teams, they get these bad raps and oh god. Yeah, you're fondling your mic right now.
Oh, I am. See, I don't know that. I don't know what I'm doing here.
So
I think I just asked a great fucking question.
did ask a great
I was
question.
wondering what Macon was
Sorry.
doing over there.
Sorry.
You gotta-
His
yeah.
ears were
I also
blowing up.
think some teams get burdened by loot. Like they end up in a rut with losing, and then they end up with high picks over and over again. And high picks, it's kind of a shiny object, but it's not necessarily like.
It's almost better
you don't
to
build
have
that way. It's better.
more-
You got to
more-
be good and then kind of maintain. A level. I think if you're picking in the middle of the first round, that's nice. I think that's a good place to be if you're trying to rebuild. That top 5 pick is kind of a shit show, and it's
Daunting.
you're batting 50-50. You really are. So I don't know. Do you remember a team? I think Pittsburgh does a really good job with their draft picks.
Yeah, no, wide receivers.
Wide receivers for sure.
I saw that when I was there just for the
Yep.
little bit that I was.
I'd have to look. I mean, I'd have to look a little closer at that. That's a really good question. I mean, I always think of Baltimore as being really good at picking in general. So
Macon asks, when do you see this podcast wrapping
right
up?
now.
Nice.
So thank you for joining us for this.
Stop touching your mic.
Sorry, man.
He's just fondling his mic.
This is new to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you want me
It's
to
a
do?
lot of stimulation in
What do you
here.
want me to do?
What do you just? I don't know. Just be you.
I appreciate being. This is great.
Yeah. Well,
This is
we
great.
had our boys from Chicago in here, Bad Back Backy and Big Conrad, big just the tips Conrad. Next year is going to be better in fantasy football. It might be me with the
I'm not gonna
tips.
take your advice next year.
Yeah, don't take my advice. I like that at the end. It's like
I'm glad you did. I'm glad
no
you did.
excuses, but it's like the coach that gets at the podium is like, I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm not going to make excuses about this injury, that injury.
It was a ESPN fantasy football.
James Coe.
whoever
Blame it
that
on
guy
James
is.
Coe.
I don't know who that guy is, but he should have some highlights.
I was on that text thread.
Yeah.
I saw
you
it.
saw it.
I saw it. Yeah.
On behalf of the entire
Thank you, everyone,
Green Light
for listening.
conglomerate, have a great fucking weekend, and we'll see you next week with some floating content. We got Green Light Pod next week, at least one with me and Macon.
Y'all take care.
Y'all take care.